Good morning, Wolfpack students. We are so excited to try to do everything possible to get ready to welcome you back to campus. I can assure you campus is missing you terribly, and we're going to work hard to make sure that we put in place some measures that will help you return to campus safely and have a great experience. But to be clear, it will be different. And today we're going to talk about a lot of those differences. But what will not be different is our commitment to try to make this the most meaningful educational experience that we can during this pandemic. Today, we're going to go over a lot of the measures that we put in place. We're going to cover a lot of ground, and so let me start with a few of those. First, face masks are required on campus, and I think many of you know Governor Roy Cooper also requires face masks statewide as of last week. And we'll share more details about that in a moment. We're starting the semester early. We've communicated that clearly to you. And the goal of starting the semester early is to get through before the Thanksgiving break, to have an extended period of time for you on break and to avoid a lot of coming and going from campus. We're in the process of evaluating classroom spaces and determining what courses will be online, hybrid, or even face-to-face. And this isn't finalized yet, but will be very soon. And we'll share more information about that today. We've shared information on our preliminary plans of reactivating campus. They're on our website. I hope you've had a chance to review them all. These plans will continue to be updated and will be updated based on conversations today and the feedback that we receive. A number of you have asked questions about issues around diversity and inclusion. I want to acknowledge those questions. I want to make it clear that NC State has had many conversations with our students and our leaders about diversity and inclusion efforts on our campus over the last few weeks, and we will continue to work toward building an opportunity for dialogue going forward. NC State has made a number of commitments to our community in the past several weeks. We intend to be very transparent about our progress toward addressing those commitments, but just please know that we are serious about making this a welcoming and diverse and inclusive environment for you all at NC State. We know it's critical for your success, and frankly, we know it's critical for our world. But I do want to honor today's time and the limited time that we have together to focus much of our conversation around COVID-19, the pandemic, and all the work of the university to prepare for your return. All of the Chancellor's Cabinet and other leaders across NC State are on standby to answer your questions about our shared plans. We also have many of our leaders that are specific to areas that you've had questions about, whether it's campus housing, our wellness and recreation, and at the libraries, et cetera. And we'll be bringing those people to the front today to answer your questions. So, but first, I'd like to turn it over to Lisa Zapata, the Interim Vice Chancellor for the Division of Academic and Student Affairs, to say a few things this morning. Lisa?
Thank you, Chancellor Woodson. And thank you to everyone participating today, our Wolfpack students, our Wolfpack family. The past several months have been almost unbelievable. We've faced challenge after challenge, but you, our students, have proven over and over again during this pandemic that you have the grit, the determination, and the resilience to move forward even during the most difficult of times. You have faced all of these challenges head on. As faculty, staff, and administrators, we have been amazed. We were amazed this spring by your adaptability and your perseverance as we moved coursework online and asked you to leave the campus that we all love. Well, now we are inviting you to return. And the thoughtfulness and the resolve that you have continued to show over the last few months, that's what's going to help us to move forward out of this pandemic and make us a stronger university. As Chancellor Woodson has already said, this fall is going to look different. And we're going to ask you to do everything that you can to protect yourself and to protect our PAC. You're going to hear a lot about face coverings today and in the next few weeks. We're going to ask you to wear masks in all of your classes and tally and common areas and anywhere that you're not able to maintain 6 feet of distance. We're going to ask that you not congregate in large groups. We're going to ask you to wash your hands often and use hand sanitizer that you're going to see all across campus. And if you start feeling sick, we're going to ask you to contact Student Health Services, to stay at home, and to take care of yourself. The bottom line is that we expect and we are counting on everyone to do their part to help keep our community of scholars safe and well. So you're going to hear a lot today about returning to the classroom, what that's going to look like, how that will work. You're also going to hear a lot about what is going to happen outside of the classroom. We strongly believe that what you experience both inside and outside of the classroom is what makes NC State extraordinary. So we're doing a lot of thoughtful, careful work to prepare for your return to campus, and we can't wait to have you back. So we're excited to share with you today a little bit about what you can expect when you return in August with respect to dining, housing, the libraries, athletics, our recreational facilities. And we're going to continue to focus on engagement, experiential learning, and student involvement. We know from the research that being engaged and feeling a sense of belonging has a huge impact on student success. So we're going to continue to provide opportunities for you to find your community within this community, to find where you fit, to figure out where you belong. Our programs, our services, our spaces will look a little different, but we are committed to creating a safe and vibrant campus experience for you and our entire Wolfpack family. So thank you all again for being here, for being a part of our town hall today. We miss you, we care about you, and we can't wait to have you back. So with that, I would like to introduce our student body president, Melanie Flowers.
Thank you, Dr. Zapata. Good morning, Wolfpack, and happy Pride. I'd like to express my gratitude for all of you being present today from your bed, morning walk, commute to work, and all of the places in between. The mountains of 2020 have continued to make themselves clear with the national and global attention that has been demanded for addressing racism. As a fellow Black student, I've been incredibly disappointed to be met with the racist actions of our students. However, I'm humbled to contribute to the bettering of our community alongside other passionate leaders. Black Lives Matter here. I'd like to acknowledge and celebrate the work of the Coalition of Black Student Leaders and their integral role in moving NC State forward as a space for Black students. These students have been phenomenal in their leadership for advancing Black life. Though we have a long way to go, I believe we are on a path to becoming a university that not only holds space for Black students, but actively accounts for what we do within our fight against racial systemic injustice. As student body president, I am personally dedicated to the urgency of change that's being demanded and will hold student government to a higher precedent of advocacy for Black students in sessions to come. As we start to think about the kind of institution we'd like to return to, it's important to consider how we'll keep each other safe. In March, we made necessary adjustments and became a virtual environment to prioritize your wellness and that of those around you. University leaders have been working around the clock to ensure we are making every possible effort to bring students back to a safe environment. Approximately 30 students are working on a student government commission to ensure your needs are being addressed as the university plans reactivation. North Carolina has been seeing a rise lately in COVID-19, and this is alarming to our Wolfpack community. Your safety continues to be the true north in navigating this pandemic, and I encourage you all to practice distance and your essential activities, frequent sanitation, and wearing a cloth facial covering in efforts to keep each other safe. I hope you all are given clarity during this morning's town hall. And if you have further questions afterwards, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, Melanie Flowers, at spp@nccu.edu. With Wolfpack Pride, enjoy your morning. We'll see you soon.
Thank you all for those remarks. Now we'll get started with our Q&A. Chancellor Woodson, we had several questions around campus testing, what's available on campus, and whether students and employees will be tested when they return to campus.
Thank you, Maggie. We're very fortunate at NC State to have Dr. Julie Casani as the Director of Student Health and Student Health Centers. She's a phenomenal leader in public health, has a long history in public health and epidemiology, and brings to the job tremendous background and experience. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Casani to talk about what we're doing in the area of testing.
Thank you, Chancellor, and good morning, everybody. And just want to echo everybody's comments previous to this, in that we really do miss you on campus. It's pretty much a ghost town here, and we can't wait to have you back. But we want to have you back safely. So regarding testing, well, you know that a viral test or an antigen test can tell you if you have active infection or if you are an asymptomatic or even a pre-symptomatic carrier. We have been and will continue to do testing on symptomatic students who come to Student Health Services for their care. But we will also be conducting viral testing as part of our contact tracing program. And that program includes students if you've had close contact with someone on campus who has tested positive. Currently, we aren't planning to do widespread testing on people who don't show symptoms. And there are many reasons for that. And one reason for it is that even an active testing center could only test about 300 to 400 people per day. And that is really pushing it. That's only about 1% of the campus population. And at that rate, testing couldn't be completed or at anywhere near the level to be meaningful, effective, or realistic. So the best way to keep the campus community safe is, as everyone has said already, and you'll be hearing many times today, is to encourage everyone to do those risk reduction activities. Wear your face covering, self-report when you are ill so that we can do contact tracing and we can take care of you and reach out to you every day so that we can stop the potential spread. Personal responsibility is really important for keeping this campus safe. And I wear my mask to keep you safe, for my coworkers to keep them safe, and for my family and my other friends to keep them safe when I can't be 6 feet away from them. If you are ill, don't go to class or to work. Notify your professors and your instructors that you'll be out. Wear your masks, wash your hands often, use hand sanitizers if you can't. And at Student Health, we're always here to help you take care of yourself. Thank you.
Maggie?
Our second question, can you explain how the contact tracing program will work?
Sure. So this is a new activity for us and one that we're very proud of. We were able to start it this summer and we've actually been working on it pretty aggressively up until now. We are encouraging all NC State students, faculty, and staff to confidentially self-report whether they either have a positive COVID-19 test or they have been told by a healthcare provider that they have COVID-19, even if they haven't had a test. We have online forms that you can fill out, and you can do that through either the Protecting the PAC website, the Student Health website, or you can call Student Health Services directly, and they will connect you to someone that you can talk to. A member of the contact tracing team, all of whom are healthcare professionals here at Student Health, will then work with you to identify everyone that you have had close contact with going back 2 days before your first symptoms. In that way, we can track back anybody who may have been involved with you while you were contagious. This group may include people you go to class with, people you socialize with, and maybe people that you live with. We'll then reach out to them, to those close contacts without identifying you, so we do protect your confidentiality in this. We offer guidance and resources, and then we give the recommendation that they quarantine for 14 days, and we do follow up with daily questionnaires to monitor symptoms and to make sure that they don't need anything while they're in that 14-day quarantine. We do this all for the PAC, and we do it in coordination with Wake County Health Department, who helps us with the contacts who may not be on NC State's campus.
Thank you. Maggie, next question.
Will I always have to wear a face covering on campus?
Yeah, I'll attempt at this, and Dr. Kasani and others may want to weigh in. As you all know, Governor Cooper has issued an executive order making face coverings mandatory in public spaces in the state of North Carolina. At NC State, we require you to wear face coverings in all university buildings and in buildings off campus that involve university activities or university sponsored activities. We require you to keep your face coverings on when you're outside if you're in a position to not maintain the 6 feet social distancing space. So we encourage all of you to carry your face coverings around with you because you may be outdoors and then suddenly find yourself in an impromptu conversation that requires the face covering. So face coverings will be required on campus in all university buildings and classrooms. There are exceptions to that. For example, in your residence hall room, or if you're an employee of the university in a private office, you may be in a position to take your face mask off. But our plan and our requirement is that face coverings will be required for all employees and all students in all university facilities, and outside when you cannot maintain social distancing space. Next question, Maggie.
So we have a related question. How will you enforce the requirement that everyone on campus wear a face covering?
Well, let me start with a statement that we're fully expecting this to become a community standard. It's all of our responsibility to protect not only ourselves, but all of those people around us. So our goal with this requirement is that it becomes part of the community of NC State and something that we all take seriously and take personal responsibility for. Having said that, it is a requirement, and I'll start by asking Dr. Zapata to respond from the student conduct perspective.
Absolutely. We do expect that all members of our community will do their part to keep themselves and our colleagues safe. For students, we are creating a rule requiring face coverings as part of our community standards and our expectations. And we are taking an educational approach. We're going to appeal to students to really uphold our community standards and do what is best and what is healthiest for our PAC. But if students do refuse, then they will be subject to disciplinary action under the Code of Student Conduct. Students will be required to wear face coverings in class. If you don't have one on during class, your faculty member will ask you to put one on, and if a student refuses, then they would be instructed to leave the classroom. But again, we're hoping that we're going to create an environment where everyone wants to do their part to protect the PAC and wear face coverings. We will have an opportunity for faculty, staff, and students to request special considerations regarding face coverings. That could include accessibility or other potential circumstances, but we're working on that process right now, and we'll have that in place at the start of the semester.
Thank you. Maggie?
We had several people ask, how will you decide if and when to reduce campus operations again during the fall semester?
This is without a doubt one of the most difficult issues that we face, is understanding the circumstances around the circumstances that could lead to a change in operation of a university. Let me turn to Provost Arden to get his response to this question and others that may want to chime in. Dr. Arden.
Thank you, Chancellor Woodson, and good morning, Wolfpack. This is indeed, as the Chancellor said, a critical question and one that we've been working hard on. The first thing to recognize is that we are part of a system of universities, and so all of the decisions are not uniquely our own. We have been directed by the system to conduct face-to-face classes to the best of our ability this fall, and we're working very hard on doing that. The Chancellor activated over the summer 10 task forces to look at ways to safely reactivate the campus. And so we've published many of the results of those task force activities, and we're still developing more guidelines as we continue to work through the evolving pandemic. And most importantly, Dr. Kasani and her colleagues are working hard to develop guidelines where we would need to change direction, either by going partially or fully online during the semester. And those variables include things such as total number of cases on campus, student attendance, staff attendance, outbreaks in particular buildings or residence halls. And we're going to continue to refine those variables and have set points or guidelines in place by the time we open campus. So we're working very hard to have those numbers in place, to have guidelines in place, and also to be responsive to the directives of the UNC system and the state of North Carolina. Thank you.
Thank you, Provost Arden. Maggie?
Are there any updates on how many classes will be online versus in person?
Well, I can assure you this has been the biggest issue one of the biggest issues that we faced. And Dr. Lewis Hunt and his colleagues in enrollment management have been working very, very hard all throughout the summer on this issue. And let me turn to Dr. Hunt for an update and some guidance going forward.
Thank you, Chancellor. Good morning, students. This fall, we have two obligations. The first is to create a safe environment for our students, our faculty and our staff. The second is to deliver exceptional education. We're ready to do both. It will rely heavily upon electronic online courses and hybrid delivery of courses, but we are going to have a lot of face-to-face as well. That said, whatever you experienced last spring, whether it was at NC State, your high school, a community college, another university or college, that's not what you're going to experience this fall. NC State's a leader, an innovator of online education. We've been doing it for many years, and we have decades of experience. So in a normal year, there's a number of factors that go into whether a course will be online or face-to-face. It has to do with the content of the course, student demand, faculty preference, but this year we've got another constraint. We need to provide social distancing in our classroom. Like the Chancellor said, for the last couple of months, we've been working with facilities management, university architect's office, registration and records, and faculty experts from across campus. Our first attempt at scheduling the fall semester moved a lot of courses online. It was more than we wanted. With the mandate of face coverings in the classroom and other academic spaces, we went back to the drawing board. We've made progress and that work continues. Departments have until July 1st to give us their final plans. After that, we'll schedule the classrooms, probably take a little over a week or two, and then we'll open up the MyPack portal for registration. New students will begin registration on July 13th, and then continuing students can get back in and adjust their schedules beginning July 20th. Thanks.
Thank you. I want to acknowledge this, how much work has gone into this by all of the faculty, by the department heads and deans, and we're working very hard to make sure that we deliver a high quality educational experience you've come to expect from NC State. With that, let me turn it back to Maggie for the next question.
Our next question: if campus closes again during the fall semester and classes go completely online, like happened in the spring, will students receive a refund for on-campus housing?
Let me turn to Chester Miller on this from our Director of Residential Learning and University Housing. Chester, good morning.
Thank you, Chancellor. Good morning, Wolfpack family. Yes, we know that there's been some confusing information circulated on social media. If NC State closes on-campus operations in the fall and requires students to leave, it would be our plan to issue prorated refunds based on the number of days left in the semester for housing and meal plans. However, we will follow guidance given by the UNC System Office. Thank you.
It's a complicated question, and Chester, for those of you that are returning and students that were here last spring, perhaps you were in university housing, you know we moved as quickly as we could once we had the clearance to get you the refunds that we feel you deserved, and that will be true going forward. But again, we are part of a system subject to the oversight of the Board of Governors, and we'll have to have their guidance as well on this. So thank you, Chester. Let me turn back to Maggie for the next question.
Will Carmichael Gym be reopening, and if so, what will be different? Also, will there be intramural sports and club sports for the fall?
Well, so this is a big issue and one that a lot of our students, let me start by acknowledging our wellness and rec program at NC State is among the best in the country. And we're so proud of it. And we're pleased with our new facilities that will be coming on this line this fall. But having said that, we know it's going to be different right now. And I've got Eric Hawks on the line to tell you what we're doing to make sure that you have access, but you have access that's safe. Eric?
Yes, thank you, Chancellor. So pending Governor Cooper lifts restrictions for gyms and fitness centers as part of the state's reopening plan, we expect to open Carmichael on Monday, July 20th. So many of our spaces have been reorganized and repurposed to encourage physical distancing and to safely limit the number of folks inside fitness centers and lap swim lanes. Students will be encouraged to reserve space in advance. Once that maximum occupancy limit is reached, no additional folks can register or access that space during that time period. Fitness centers will close for cleaning and disinfecting between each of those reservation times. So we expect approximately 175 folks will be able to access fitness centers each hour, which is around half of our typical fitness center capacity. However, Once the Wellness and Recreation Center opens in October, we will double the amount of fitness space and our occupancy levels will return to pre-COVID-19 levels. So we also recognize that some spaces will remain unavailable when we open in July. These include basketball courts, the climbing wall, equipment checkout, indoor track, racquetball courts, and showers. So as of right now, face coverings will be strongly recommended but not required during workouts. However, face coverings will be required while moving throughout the facilities. In-person group fitness classes will begin once again in the fall. Intramural sports will be limited to virtual offerings and in-person events that meet physical distancing guidelines. Many of our club sports organizations do plan to operate following physical distancing guidelines and restrictions provided by their national governing body. All this information and more is available on our website at wellrec.ncsu.edu. Thanks, Chancellor.
Thank you, Eric. Maggie?
Our next question, which athletics teams will play in the fall, and will students be able to attend football games?
I'm pleased to have Athletic Director Boo Corrigan on the line today to give us all the final answer on fall sports.
Chancellor, thank you for having me. Go Pack. We look forward to everyone coming back. At this point in time, we are moving forward with our competitive seasons. We have football has come back to a large degree, as have men's and women's basketball are back on campus, training in individual pods as they're going through this. And obviously there's a lot of different elements going on right now in and around college sports. And as we welcome people back, we are moving calmly as we go through this, and pending the governor and capacity numbers that he puts out as we move forward. We look forward to welcoming students back into our stadiums this year.
Thank you, Boo. And I do want to commend Boo and his colleagues for all their efforts to bring our student athletes safely. If you read the paper, you've seen a lot of challenges across the country, and at least at this point, knock on wood, we're doing very well and working hard to keep our student athletes safe, as we will with all of our students when you return. So with that, Maggie, let me return to you for the next question.
What type of support will be in place related to mental health concerns, given how stressful this has been and we will be going into the fall semester?
Yeah, let me start by acknowledging that this is a very stressful time for all of us and all of our students and our families. And we know that we have a lot of students whose families have been affected by COVID-19. And so let me start by acknowledging that this is really a challenging time, but I couldn't be more proud of NC State's mental health counselors and the effort they made to pivot last spring to continue to provide services to our students through telemedicine and telecounseling. And so let me turn to Dr. Zapata to talk about how this will look in the fall.
Thank you, Chancellor. Yes, we do recognize that this has just been an extremely difficult time for everyone over the past few months. Students can always access counseling resources and support by calling the counseling center. And as Chancellor Woodson said, we pivoted and moved to telehealth for counseling this spring, and we're going to continue that this fall for both individual and group counseling, and also for responding to crises. Also this fall, we'll be offering groups and programming specifically related to COVID-19 concerns, such as isolation, grief, and loss. And then we're also going to be providing programming focused on racial trauma, the impact of oppression, and support for international students. So we're excited about those opportunities to serve our students. The Counseling Center and Prevention Services currently have drop-in spaces for students focused on topics such as building community and support for women of color, recovery, and overall adjustment and belonging. And then finally, in addition to all of the resources that we provide through the Counseling Center and Prevention Services, it's an important reminder to remember about all the support that's available to students through our campus community centers, through the Office of Institutional Equity and Diversity, as well as our Office of International Services. So we're all here to provide support for our students.
Thank you, Dr. Zapata. Maggie?
Our next question. For those of us that use Wolf Line buses, how are we going to maintain physical distancing, and will we be required to wear a mask?
Before I turn to Vice Chancellor Mamoni, let me tell you that I'm confident the drivers are excited to have people back in the buses. The Wolf Line has been running throughout the spring semester and the summer to move people around our campus. And I think it's safe to say that our drivers are really excited about having people to actually ride on the buses. But we need to do it safely. And with that, let me turn to Vice Chancellor Mamoni to talk about the plans for the Wolf Line bus system.
Thank you, Chancellor, and good morning, everyone. Yes, we've made several changes to the operations, and there are procedures to enhance rider and operator safety. We have modified the routes, the seating, and standing on the buses, and there'll be, physical distancing and face coverings are required. We'll have hand sanitizer on the bus, and I'd encourage you to go out to the Wolf Line Transportation webpage. We've got a banner at the top of the page, and you can take a look at some of the changes to the routes and the modifications that we've made.
Thank you. Maggie, next question.
Will the cost for meal plans change now that services are going to be different?
Let me turn back to Vice Chancellor Mamoni.
Yeah, thank you again, Chancellor. Well, actually, we've had a lot of experience with this situation, having stayed open throughout the summer. And one of the things that we've realized is that the cost to provide meal plans is actually higher under these conditions. And it's due to all the additional safety protocols and the extensive takeout programs and options. It really does reduce our efficiencies. And of course, we're lowering the dining room capacity. We will be able to have some limited seating in the dining facility. We're going to actually take the tally market. We'll, for the first time, be accepting meal credits so that we can begin to improve flexibility across the whole food option area. But to answer the question, the meal plan price will remain the same.
Maggie?
Will the university allow meetings to occur for student organizations? And will there still be events like RecFest and Packapalooza?
Dr. Zapata, I
Yes,
think I'll
sir.
let you handle all of those.
Thank you, Chancellor Woodson. So in order to keep our Wolfpack community safe, we have made the decision to cancel large events like RecFest and Packapalooza for this fall. But we are working on plans for other programs and other events to keep students engaged that will follow all of our guidelines to keep our students safe. We will encourage student organizations to hold meetings and events virtually, but also you still can host in-person meetings if the meeting space allows safe distancing and allows you to follow other guidelines for limiting the spread of coronavirus. Our student organization registration will continue as usual in the fall, so make sure you renew your registrations, and also will encourage new student organizations to follow that same registration process.
Thank you. Maggie?
Our next question, will the grading policy for the fall be like it was in the spring?
And let me return to Dr. Hunt.
Thank you, Chancellor. Yes, we are going to continue the enhanced SU grading policy and the extended drop period. That should alleviate a lot of concerns for students, give them a lot of flexibility. We haven't set those dates yet. We'll do it before the start of the term. We'll publish them on the Student Services Center and also notify students with our early communications for the fall. Thank you.
Let me just stay with you for a moment, Dr. Hunt. I'm sorry, Maggie, I'm being the facilitator here, but the next question is about hybrid classes and how they will work. So could you just continue, Lewis, and talk about hybrid classes?
Sure. We've had hybrid classes for quite a few years. Hybrid or flipped classes, they're sometimes referred to. In general, a hybrid class has some in-person components to it and some online activities also associated with it. One example would be for this fall where half the class might go on, say, a Tuesday, and the other half would go on to Thursday. When you're not in class, you'd be expected to either watch things online, perhaps synchronously or asynchronously, or you might do other out-of-class activities. There's another type of hybrid too that we're going to use this fall, where one component of the course, like the lecture, say, might be delivered online, and then you'll have a face-to-face problem session or lab with that course. Again, we've used both of these for many years and they work quite well, so you'll be seeing those on your schedule.
Yeah. And Dr. Hunt's a bit modest. NC State has been singled out nationally for a lot of our work in the flipped classroom and the hybrid model that we've used effectively in really a lot of the gateway courses, those courses that are prerequisites for other courses in the future. So this is an area where our NC State's faculty are phenomenal and the students will have a great experience as a result of that. So let me turn back to Maggie for the next question.
Will we be able to eat in person in the dining halls and in places like Tally in the atrium?
Well, let me turn back to Vice Chancellor Mamoni. I think you addressed some of this in your previous conversation, but just to put a finer point on it. Charlie?
Thank you, Chancellor. Yes, as I mentioned, there'll be limited seating in the dining facilities. And one of the things that we're working on right now is actually we're planning for some tents and picnic tables outside adjacent to the dining facility and to Tally to actually give more seating space outside. And importantly, the mobile ordering will be part of the retail dining program to further kind of reduce congestion during peak times.
Maggie?
Our next question, will the cost of tuition change if all classes are delivered online?
Well, I'll start and then Dr. Mamoni will want to add. The short answer is no, and the reason being is that all of the costs associated with delivering instruction remains on campus, and whether it's online or in person, so those costs don't change. In fact, associated with some of these activities, we've had additional costs that Provost Arden has supported to help our faculty get prepared for the hybrid model. So, but with that, let me turn to Charlie to address the question more succinctly.
Well, thank you, Chancellor. You've done a good job with that. The fact is that when we plan for the semester, we hire our faculty and all of the staff associated with the semester. And as the Chancellor mentioned, these costs don't actually change that much when we move online. So it does get a bit more expensive for us to do both the hybrid and online. And when we move online, or at least our experience in the spring was that it actually was a bit more expensive for us to continue that way.
Maggie, let me return to you.
Our next question, what support is being provided to off-campus students with lease start dates that are after August 10th?
I know that when we moved the calendar, DASA, the Division of Academic and Student Affairs, reached out to many of the surrounding off-campus housing facilities. And so let me turn to Dr. Zapata to give us an update on those conversations.
Thank you, Chancellor. We have been in contact and working closely with the off-campus apartment complexes. And we know that many of these locations have adjusted their lease agreements. So that's good. If you do have any difficulty with your landlord or your property management company, we really encourage you to reach out to Student Legal Services because they can provide you with some assistance and some guidance.
Thank you. Maggie?
Will the library be reopening? And if so, what will be different?
Let me turn to Vice Provost Greg Rasky and Director of our libraries to talk about the libraries for the fall.
Thanks, Chancellor. Yes, we'll absolutely be open. We're looking forward to being open. We are planning to open July 20th, the Hill Library, And then shortly thereafter that, we'll open the Hunt Library and some of our branch libraries. Quite a bit will be different in order to help protect the community. Access will be limited just to the NC State community, including our Centennial Campus partners. We will not, unfortunately, have 24-hour building access in the fall. We have to close overnight to help protect students and staff, but we'll have robust hours, and the overnight closing will help us clean the library each evening. We'll have reduced seating density to help with social distancing, but we'll still have plenty of chairs. We think we can accommodate even our peak demands with some creative spreading out of furniture and arrangements. Group spaces that you all tend to gather in will be used individually and in smaller groups. And our group study rooms will actually be available for individual reservation. If you want to have your own little sort of micro environment when you come in to use the library, you can do that. Some of our technology lending will change. We're not going to trade headphones in and out. We're going to give you portable headphones that you can just keep. Certain things like print textbooks, we'll just scan the textbook for you instead of trading those in and out. And like the spring, we'll have long-term laptops and webcams for long-term semester-long loans. So if you have to help support take your classes online, we can help you with that. And of course, the library will be open 24/7 online. And we'll have the Academic Success Center opening in the Hill Library this fall. And again, those consultations will be more individual and customized. And then hopefully down the road, the Academic Success Center will have group sessions for writing, tutoring, undergraduate research, career counseling, and all the things that you need. Thanks, Chancellor.
Great. Yep. Maggie?
What does synchronous versus asynchronous mean, and how will students know if a class meets synchronously or asynchronously?
Dr. Hunt.
Thank you. In this context, we're talking about online courses and online course delivery. A synchronous course is one that has a specific time and day associated with it. So you'll be expected to show up in Moodle or some other form to participate in the class. This is common with discussion classes and things of that nature. It will be noted on your schedule so you'll see it clearly. An asynchronous class doesn't have a specific meeting period. So you're expecting those to either watch pre-recorded videos, do other out of the class assignments, and complete those on your own schedule. On your schedule, those will be shown as online, but will not have a specific time associated with them. Thanks.
Thank you. Maggie?
Our next question, what will move-in look like on campus for residence halls and Greek Village?
We turn back to Chester Miller for that question.
Thank you, Chancellor. As you can imagine, the move-in process can be quite significant for an institution our size. University Housing is working very hard with campus partners across the university to create a seamless and smooth move-in process. For this fall, move-in occurs over a 10-day period beginning July 31st and ending August 9th by appointment only. Students are asked to sign up for a move-in appointment during that period. Move-in appointments will occur in 3-hour blocks. We ask that you limit the number of students coming with you to assist with move-in to no more than 2 people. Sign-ups will begin approximately July 6th. The process will be the same for Greek Village. We are also working with the apartment complexes adjacent to campus on Hillsborough Street to coordinate move-in efforts. You can find information about the fall move-in process on the housing website.
Thank you, Chester. Maggie, next question.
For international students who cannot return or are not able to come for the fall because of travel restrictions, what are their options to still take classes?
Let me turn to Provost Arden.
Thank you, Chancellor. Yes, there are a number of options. So for international students who have not yet been to NC State or have gone home and can't return, we know that there are a lot of obstacles with respect to gaining a visa to come to the US at the moment. Those students will be able to enroll in online classes. And of course, those classes count as credit towards their academic programs. For students who are already here, there are opportunities to extend their visas and extend their programs if they meet certain criteria. The best solution is to work with the Office of International Students and they will give you the latest information on either how to gain access to appropriate online classes, or alternatively, how to extend your visa and extend your program.
Thank you. I know this is a difficult time for many of our international students, a group of students that we really appreciate having at NC State. They add so much to the overall campus culture and environment, and we're very proud to be a university that attracts students from all over the world. And I know it's a challenge. A lot of consulates across the country are closed, making it difficult for students to get visas, but we're going to do everything we can to keep NC State operating for our international students. And with that, let me turn back to Maggie for the next question.
Next question is, how are masks going to be distributed to students who live off campus?
Lisa, do you want to take a shot at that?
Sure, I'm happy to, Chancellor. As we were talking about just a couple of minutes ago, we are working very closely with the off-campus apartments all along Hillsborough Street and Western Boulevard, and we're going to work with them to provide masks. And then there's also going to be locations all across campus where students can pick up face coverings. So we'll be sure to get that information out to our students about where they can pick up masks as we get closer to the start of the semester.
Yeah, thank you. Maggie?
Our next question is, how are labs going to be delivered?
This is an interesting opportunity for NC State. As you know, a large science and technology university, many of our classes have very robust labs associated with them. We brought a lot of our research labs back online, so we have a lot of experience through emergency management, Dr. Amy Orders and Dr. Mladen Volk, and how to reactivate labs. So this is an area that we've given a lot of thought to and have some experience with. And let me turn to Dr. Hunt to talk about how this will impact students going forward.
Thank you, Chancellor. Yes, I agree. You know, as a STEM flagship, labs are very important to our educational experience. We've learned a lot from reopening the research labs. There's a lot of variety in what we do with labs on our campus. This fall, some will be in person, some will be online, some will be hybrid. It will vary quite a bit by discipline. You know, some labs take place outside in greenhouses, on farms, in our teaching forests, or in large spaces, and those can continue unchanged. But using a more traditional lab like chemistry as an example, our Chemistry 101, 102 rather, and 202 labs will be taught online. I had an opportunity to look at those last week. They look fantastic. They'll be, you know, really great for the students. Another example from history, Dr. Gallardo Williams has developed a virtual reality lab for teaching organic chemistry. That will be used at NC State this fall, but also at other universities across the country, all the way to California using that. So it's a great effort. Some other courses in chemistry, some of the upper level ones, the class density will be reduced. So they'll be very small and they'll be taught face to face. Switching to sort of the other end of the spectrum, in College of Design, our design studio spaces have been changed. They've been altered to allow face-to-face experiences. So again, it's going to vary quite a bit by discipline, but we are there to ensure student safety, that the learning outcomes are achieved, and that we have a great educational experience. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Hunt. Maggie, next question.
If we choose to defer for the fall, can we get housing on campus in the spring?
Well, Chester, I'm going to leave that one to you.
Thank you, Chancellor. We believe that on-campus housing opportunities will exist in the spring. While spaces may be limited, we do think that there will be availability. Thank you.
Yeah, as I think some of you may know, and there may be students on the call today that are part of our Spring Connect program. So we have new students coming to NC State that prior to the impact of COVID-19 plan to be here and begin in the spring, as well as some transfer students. So to Chester's point, we all like to do everything we can to find housing for our students, but it could be limited. So with that, Maggie, next question. You're doing a great job too, by the way.
Thank you. Our next question, will students have access to apartments and residence halls over the semester break, in particular for international students and those who need it?
Chester, let me come back to you for that.
Okay, thank you, Chancellor. Special circumstance housing for students over the break period may be available. Details are being explored with our campus partners, so more information to come.
Okay, I think that's the end of the questions. Did I miss anything, Maggie?
No, but we do have time for one more.
All right.
That was not originally on our list.
Okay.
How will information about coronavirus incidents on campus be shared with the campus community?
Well, we've established a Protect the Pact website. If you go to the ncsu.edu, our homepage, you'll see a link to all of our COVID-19 material, and you'll see that broken out by constituency for students, for faculty, for staff, and we continually update that, and we'll update it as a result of many of the questions that have come to us through these town hall sessions. So visit our website, visit it often. That's the primary way through which we communicate to our constituents. Brad Bolender is on the line. Let me see if Brad wants to add anything to that as our Chief Communication Officer.
Sure, thank you, Chancellor. On an individual basis, students, just like faculty and staff, would be primarily contacted through student health, through Dr. Kasani and the contact tracing program. So if there's a potential that you have been in touch with a COVID-19 positive individual on campus, you will be contacted. If there are cases that we couldn't identify all of the people, say there was a large gathering of people, we didn't know who all they were, we would send broader, even campus-wide notifications and then post on the website that the Chancellor talked about. So we're gonna work with all of our partners, err on the side of caution, and make sure we're gonna let you know everything you need to know to be safe at NC State.
Well, let me conclude by thanking all of you that logged on this morning. We really are excited to have you back on campus. It's been lonely, and we know that it's going to be different. And we know that you understand that because we're all living through this global pandemic. And I want you all to know that we're doing everything in our power to get NC State safe and to provide a safe environment for you to continue to learn. And we'll keep you informed throughout this, but just know that we're excited to have you as part of the Wolfpack, and we're looking forward to your return to campus and looking forward to your being part of this community that protects one another. So with that, I want to thank you again for logging on. Let me thank all of my colleagues and leaders across NC State for participating, and I'll conclude by go Pack.